I love our band. They're so good. So it's all downhill now, but it's all right. It's all right. Oh my gosh, there's so many things going on today. Just to kind of let you guys know. Let's see. So my wife, Jean, will come up and make an announcement after the message, but we have a chili cook-off today, which is always fun. This year, we have 17 entries. 18 including the Costco chili that we made for the kids, because, we don't want anything too, flavorful or something like that. So we have 18 chilies. Yeah. And I think Jean's going to advise, don't try to eat every single one, but me, I love a challenge. So you can try too, but it's all up to you. And then and then we also have Super Bowl at 3:30. If you want to hang out, we always hang out here. So we're going to have our brother Young's going to make nachos. And then I'm sure there's going to be plenty of chili leftovers. So, it'll be like nacho chili and cornbread. Oh, we got cornbread. People brought cornbread. Do you guys like corny cornbread? I love corny, a little jalapeno. I'm getting sidetracked, but it's good. And then we also have feeding ministries coming up this Thursday, and then what we do is we prep the food on Sunday. So if you've never gone out to the homeless feeding downtown, we do it under I-5 on James and I-5. Please, talk to Jimmy and Jamie. Is Jamie here too? I can't tell from here, but you can talk to Jamie too and get some more information and participate. It's a great way. Oh, also feeding ministry. It's so cold, and today's might snow today, right? This week's supposed to be cold, and we need a lot of big men's clothing. There are a lot of the people who are homeless are men that come to the feeding. So if you have men's jackets, they're always looking for that. Another thing that they always look for are, those little tote bags. It's like a backpack, but it's got like 2 strings. Those things that kids use a lot. They would love stuff like that. Socks. So you get the idea. So bring it. Really, really good time. All right, today we are starting a new series of messages, and it's the slideshow's Life is a Team Sport, and Pastor Brenna kind of picked that theme, and I love it because I love sports anyway. So I said, ooh, when I said that, I'm in, right? And there's a little tagline, building a team for the journey of life. And I really like that. And we're getting the themes, as I shared last week, the themes and ideas from Leonard Sweet's book, 11 Indispensable Relationships You Can't Live Without. And we're just hopping around. We're not doing anything in chronological order, chapter order, or anything like that. Pastor Brenna, we're just going to take turns on whatever we think, I like that one, we're going to preach on it. But if you want to hear what Leonard Sweet has to say, we want to encourage you to get this book, kind of read and get some ideas from him. We are taking some ideas from him, but we're going off tangent and doing our own thing. So it's really good opportunity. And we've got some books. If you need a book, talk to Pastor Brenna. And throughout this series, Pastor Brenna are going to be touching on some characters of the Bible, and hopefully through looking at these characters, my hope is that that you'll be able to identify and also learn from the people you need and the person you need to be. Okay, that's a goal. The people you need and the person you need to be. And I think those two things kind of go hand in hand. Meaning, as you receive in a relationship, right, you also need to give. And what you give is up to you, your ability, and your gifts. And just because I receive something from Andrew doesn't mean I have to give the same thing back. Let's say he gives me time, he gives me, love and stuff like that. It doesn't mean that I have to give the exact same thing back. It really depends on what my ability and my gift is, right? And so then I would be a support to Andrew in some other way or something like that. Maybe I will love Andrew back, but what it is, it's up to you, your ability and your giftedness. And like today, for example, we're doing the chili, right? I see we have a lot of gifted cooks, 17 entries. It's awesome. And I volunteered to do a chili. My wife's doing a chili, but I wanted to do a chili also. And I told Gina, I said, I'll do a chili. And she said, no. And I'm like, what? Because she knows what chili I will make. I make a mean chili ravioli, right? What I do, and I've been cooking this ever since I've been working with the youth in college. I would take them camping, and then when I went to seminary and worked at a church doing youth ministry, throughout my whole ministry career, I've been making chili ravioli. And I'm going to give you the secret to my chili ravioli. You get a can of any kind of chili from Costco, the same portion of ravioli, right? You put it into a pot. You get a whole bunch of onion, chop it up any way you want, dump it in, no ratio, whatever you want. Then you get a Costco bottle of Tabasco sauce, and you put the whole thing in there, right? And there's your chili ravioli. It's a lot of fun at a youth camp, right? So as you share those gifts of cooking with me, my wife says, don't share the same thing back. You got to share it back in some other way, whether it's preaching or counseling or another something, right? So it's different. But it really is about your willingness to share the best and the giftedness of yourself. So you got to kind of look deep inside and think about, what am I gifted at? What's God moving me to do? And the second thing that throughout the series that I want to encourage you to think about is that life is a journey, not a destination. Too many of us who are high achievers, we think life is a destination. We got to get somewhere. We got to get stuff done, right? Even the chili cook up. I got to win. It's not about the winning. It's about the eating, okay? Got to enjoy that ride. Take a look around you. Are you enjoying the people around you? And I'm not just, you go, oh yeah, I enjoy that guy. That other person, But it's about enjoying all the people around you, the different people around you. And I really believe when we can do that, that's what enriches our life, right? I always share with people, one of the greatest gifts and the pleasures of doing ministry for me in this church has been meeting the diverse group of people. Such a diverse group of people, right? And I always tell the story about Uncle Don and his brother Rick, how they were like mean when they first came to church. They didn't like want to talk to me. I'm like, hey! They're like, because they didn't want to come to church, right? But then getting to know them and them sticking around and building my relationship, I'm like, I don't know what my life would have looked like otherwise. Now to have all of these different relationships, it's awesome, and I really think that's God's gift to me. I actually don't think doing 20 years of ministry in one church is a long time, but that's how long it's been just here. And my friends always ask me, "Oh my gosh, you've been there so long! Aren't they sick of you?" Right? I don't know. Are you? I don't know. But thank you. Was that a no or a yes? I couldn't really distinguish that one. Okay. But for me, the ability to enjoy the diverse group of people in my life and to get to know all of you, it's so awesome. And today, I want to share a passage with you that kind of introduces a character for us today. And you can kind of try to guess who it is as I read the passage and see what kind of characters that you can pick up, what you need to receive from other people, but also if this is a character that you're gifted with and that you can be sharing with other people. And the passage that I want to share with you comes from the book of Exodus. Does that already give you an idea? Oh, Exodus, there's a few people in there. Exodus chapter 4. So listen for the word of the Lord. But Moses said to the Lord, "Oh, my Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor even now, that you have spoken to your servant. But I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." A lot of people think Moses had a speech impediment, whether it was he just didn't pronounce things right or he had a kind of a slur, something like that. So he's like, and he recognized it, and that's why he's saying that. Then the Lord said to him, "Who gives speech to mortals? Who makes them mute or deaf, seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you are to speak." But he said, "Oh, my Lord," or is it, "Oh, my Lord," like, right? So, yeah, it depends on how you read it. "Oh, my Lord, please send someone else." Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, "What of your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know that he can speak fluently. Even now he is coming out to meet you. And when he sees you, his heart will be glad. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. And I will be with your mouth I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. He indeed shall speak for you to the people. He shall serve as a mouth for you, and you shall serve as God for him. Take in your hand this staff with which you shall perform the signs. Moses went back to his father-in-law Jethro and said to him, please, let me go back to my kindred in Egypt and see whether they are still alive. And Jethro said to Moses, go in peace. The word of the Lord. Now, we know Moses as a great man. At least that's how most of us like to look at him. Especially, we grow up in a culture where Charlton Heston plays Moses in the Ten Commandments, and we're like, oh my gosh, and they really play him up, right? So a lot of us think of Moses as a great man in the sense that he was a man who saw the burning bush and spoke with God and go, ooh, that's cool. He was a man who turned a staff into a snake. Cool. He was a man who brought the 10 plagues upon Egypt. Powerful. He was a man who brought God's people out of Egypt. Wow. Right? A leader. He was a man who parted the Red Sea. Incredible. He was a man who made bread come down from heaven. Oh. Made chickens to eat come from the desert. You don't have to go to the chicken came to him. He was a man who made water come out of a rock. He was a man who received the 10 commandments directly from God. Awesome, great man. But what we read in today's passage is the beginning of seeing Moses' other side, which I think a lot of us sometimes we forget or we ignore. And that is that Moses was also a man who, as a child, was born into violence. Moses was a man, as a child, he was given up for adoption. He grew up a Jew by birth, but grew up in an Egyptian home. And that couldn't have been easy, because he probably somewhat looked a little different, but if not different, people were already talking about him, whispering. And his people were slaves to the Egyptians. Moses was a man who was a murderer. He didn't just murder, he hid it. He hid the body in the sand, it says. Moses was a man who was a fugitive. Even when his relatives, adopted family found out that he had killed somebody, they wanted to get him. So he ran, running from the law. Moses was a man who has a speech impediment. He was self-conscious about it, insecure about himself. Moses was a man who didn't have a perfect marriage. We don't talk about those marriage things that show up in the Bible, but he did. He needed some help in his marriage. Let's look at Exodus 18. Can you guys see that? I'm not going to read it all, but I'll highlight some stuff that's written in yellow. Okay, you guys can read that, right? You guys need like a telescope or something. It says that in chapter 18, Moses brings people out of Egypt. He's in the wilderness. He's doing great work. People are, getting together. They're doing stuff. And it says, after a while, Moses sent away his wife along with their 2 sons back to her father's home. Ooh. What's going on? Right? When a wife leaves the husband, whether he sent her or she's leaving, and goes back to her father's house, if that were to happen in today's time, and she's not on vacation, what would you think? Ooh, right? What's going on between Moses and his wife? And I think that's actually a realistic eye to this passage, because it goes on and it talks about now Jethro and what we see is that Moses was a man who needed a lot of people in his life. We think of him as this great character, but even this great character needed a team of great people around him. And we're going to look at one, we already saw one, Aaron, right? He needed Aaron in his life. And another person that we're going to see is Jethro, his father-in-law. Here it comes. Now Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came to Moses, and he brought with him Moses' wife and the 2 sons. He says, I don't know what's going on, but we're going back. We're going back to Moses, figure this stuff out. And they go back. And look what it says. Now, when Moses sees his father-in-law and his wife and 2 kids coming, he's like, oh my gosh, what do you do? Oh, father-in-law's here. He goes out, greets him. And as a man who has 2 daughters, if I saw something and my daughter's boyfriends or their husbands were like not treating my daughter, I'd be like mad. Like, what's going on? But instead, look at what Jethro does. It says that he took Moses and they went into a tent together, meaning they went in and had fellowship. They had communion together. And I can just imagine the conversation that must have been going on in that tent. Moses, tell me what's going on. And he does, and the Bible passage tells us. And Moses begins to tell Jethro, well, life's been a little bit busy. God called me. I was taking care of your sheep, but then God called me. I had to go into Egypt, and it was a mess in there, and I brought all the people out, and we came out, and they were unhappy, but now things are getting straightened out, and life is so busy. And Jethro, instead of going, Moses, what's up, man? Why are you doing this to my daughter? Look at what Jethro says. Well, at least what the Bible says about Jethro. It says, Jethro rejoiced and said, oh my gosh, Jethro, there's so many great things going on in your life. You must be so busy. And it goes on, and as Jethro is meeting with Moses, Jethro says, let me see who you're hanging out with. Bring your friends. And the next part says that Moses, his father-in-law, saw all that he was doing and gathers Aaron and the other leaders, and they break bread together. They eat together. Jethro gets to know, right? Looks deep into Moses' life, see who he's hanging out with. And the next day, what happens? Jethro says, let me go to work with you. And they go to work together. Jethro's there, sees what Moses is doing, and he sees, oh, wow, Moses is really busy. He's doing this, he's doing that, he's taking care of the people, da, 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 da. And the father-in-law says to Moses, Moses, what are you doing? And Moses what do you mean? I'm working. I'm supposed to be working, especially I'm taking care of God's people. And Jethro says to Moses, what you're doing, it's not good. Ooh, do you see that? That's what it actually says. What you are doing is not good. And now Jethro says to Moses, hey, listen, let me give you some advice. That's what it says. Listen to me, I will give you counsel. And as I speak with you, man, I pray that God will be with you. Right? And he goes on and he talks to Moses about how his life should be, how his life balance should be. You think your balance might be messed up? It's been going on since the time of Moses, right? And Jethro tells him, you got to balance that stuff out. You can't be working all the time, Moses. You got to get some other people. Let them help you out. And he goes on and he goes on and he goes on. What I get from the relationship between Jethro and Moses is that we need people who can be honest with us in our life. Too many times, I think, we want people around us who are just going to pat us on the back, right? I love Lam's voice. But I don't want to point to her because I don't want to embarrass her. But Andrew, is Andrew here? Right? He's like playing. Where is he? Oh, he's hiding already because he knows I'm going to talk about. He plays the keyboard. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. And then he started singing today, and he's got that sweet, seductive voice. And I was like, oh, I was seduced. I was like, you are awesome, right? And he's like, oh. And I look at it, but Andrew, coming up that, your voice is so sweet. You play the piano. You're so awesome. You look, and he's handsome. You're so handsome. And you're so fit, because I feel like I'm out of shape. But Andrew, you're in such good shape. And a lot of times that's what we want to hear. Somebody that comes along and says, oh, all those great things about us. But what Moses saw was that in Jethro, he saw a person who was willing to share the truth with him. A person who was not going to be rude, but still willing to share the truth. A person who had a sincere love for Moses, but was willing to be honest with him. And that's what Jethro does with Moses. Today, as I shared, we're having our annual chili cook-off. Please come downstairs. There's so much chili. And as that was going on this past week, people, I didn't know how competitive you guys were. Chili cookers are competitive. They were practicing their chili at home and posting it on Facebook. And, not just one person. I know at least 4 people that did a test run of their chili. And one of them I saw on Facebook, and Jean was like, take a look at this. My sister Stacy posted this next thing on Facebook. It's, do we have a slide? She posted the chili, a picture, and she wrote this. She said, this is her rainy day chili, getting ready for our church's chili cook-off this Sunday. And then the next part says, I love this. Also, nothing like a 7-year-old to build your confidence. Quote, Mom, I probably won't be voting for you because I plan on voting for the best chili on Sunday. Sanap! Oh my gosh, right? We know Jaden loves his mom, but he's like, Mom, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know, right? We need a Jethro in our life, or a Jaden. We need a Jaden in our life. People who will be honest with us with love and care, not just pat us on the back. People who are willing to truly look into our lives and accept the mess and not judge us by it. People who love us and are willing to still challenge us in our life to be whole, to be healed. People who love us so much that they will commit to us to take that journey of life with us, right? Long term, through the good, through the bad. Those are the relationships that we need in our life. And I can look into this group of people, and what I see, and hopefully some of you will look at me and go, wow, I've had some good times and also terrible times with Fred, but we've come together. Right? And that's what I see when I look into this congregation. People who we've gone on mission trips with, people who we've done ministries together with, people that I've had conflict. I'm one of those people, conflict all the time. But hopefully that we heal through those conflicts and that our relationships grow deeper. So I want to ask you guys to think about a couple things as we do this series. Who are some of these people in your life? Do you have a Jethro in your life? Because you need one. You need a Jethro in your life. People who love you, who care for you, but at the same time, who are going to be honest with you, who are going to speak truth to you. And the second question is, are you willing to accept them as God's servants in your life? Meaning people who are speaking God's truth into your life. Now, going back to the first passage that we read, when Moses was leaving, he went to his father-in-law Jethro and he says, Father, let me go to Egypt. Let me take your daughter and your grandkids and let me go to Egypt. And it's easy for us to kind of gloss over that interaction of departing. But I think, and we hear Jethro's words, right? It says, do you guys see that? It says, it's written in yellow, go in peace, right? And it's easy to kind of just read that and go over it quickly. But I think there's actually more there than meets the eye, because those words, go in peace, there's actually 3 things in the Bible that are all translated the same and say, go in peace. One is, go in peace, right? Yeah, which it is. And the other one is, go to peace. And think about that. Why? And that's what's used here, go to peace. Jethro tells Moses, go to peace. Why would Jethro tell Moses to go to peace? That word go, it's like a command or a commission, right? It's like becomes almost like a life directive to Moses. Go to peace, or live toward peace in your life. Right? You're not just going to have it. Right? You're in it and you're going to have it all the time. You've got to live toward it. You've got to work toward it. To be a peacemaker in our life. If you want peace in your life, you have to be a peacemaker in your life. And whenever you're given a choice to choose between being a peacemaker or avoiding situations in your life, I pray and I hope that you will choose to be a peacemaker. So today, as I know you guys are so busy in your life, I want to commission you, as Jethro did to Moses, to go to peace in your home, to your family, and to your friends. To go to peace in your community and your neighborhoods. To go to peace in your workplace or school or wherever you may be, that when people see you coming, that they may also experience the peace that God has for all of the world. Amen?